Brooke Army Medical Center here in San Antonio is where a lot of people come when they are injured in war, specifically when they are subject to burns and other explosions and things like that. And so San Antonio is definitely right at the center point of everything that has to do with everything that's going on in the rest of the world. And there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the rest of the world right now. We sent out a newsletter and a blog post the other day about the American dream and wondering whether or not it still exists. And with everything happening around us, it can feel like it's not. We're constantly being bombarded by images on the television, things on the radio, social media about how terrible things are, how expensive things are, and how difficult things are. And I'm not going to pretend like they're not, but I also think that where you put your focus and attention is where you're going to get your results. And so, yes, the American dream does still exist, but it was never about the house. It was always about what the house could do for you. Yes, things were a lot cheaper when your parents were buying homes or their parents were buying homes, but everything is cyclical and moving. Their interest rates were different. Interest rates are different now. Interest rates were different a couple of years ago. Prices were way different back then. The first house I ever bought in the early 2000s, we had an 8% interest rate on a VA loan, and we were thrilled to have it. It was fantastic. And it was a beautiful one-story home with a pool, and it was a perfect size for just my husband and I at the time. And it cost us $92,000 US. And that house today is probably worth about $350,000 in our San Antonio market. It's just fascinating, right? Like, how can the exact same thing go for so much more so in just a few short years? And everybody's still expected to keep pace with how they afford all of that. And so I think it makes sense to look at this from a broader perspective and think about what it means to invest in the market or live anywhere for that matter. Even if you're renting somewhere, you're still paying somebody's mortgage. Someone owns that property. Are you that someone that owns that property, or are you going to let that go to somebody else? How do you leverage getting into a property if you've never owned a property at all? I can tell you how I did it. I never sold anything. Very rarely did we ever sell an asset. Every time we had the opportunity to and it made sense to, we kept that house, moved out of that house, let a tenant take over the mortgage. And this is a perfectly decent way to build wealth. The problem, I think, is that we're all inundated with this consumption. Buy this. My friends have that. I need this pretty thing over here. I have to have a new car every couple of years because it's safer. I have to wear these different clothes every single year because that's what's in fashion. Whatever that looks like for you, I would just, if that's what brings you happiness, awesome, do it. Who am I to, tell you not to buy a designer handbag or a boat or whatever your thing is, a tricked out truck? Like, I'm talking to you dudes too. But I do think that if you're able to really question whether or not the little dopamine hit that you're going to get from a champagne brunch with your girlfriends on the weekend, or running to Vegas with your buddies on the weekend and blowing all your money on poker, or whatever your thing is, because everybody's got a thing, if you delayed that gratification for a little bit longer, what could your future look like? What do you want your future to look like? And I think so often we're just swept up in this current of like, I have to have it. I need, I want, I have to have it. And we don't give a lot of thought as to why we actually think we need and want and have to have it. And then when we have it, it only lasts for so long. The happiness only lasts for so long. So I think that the dream is still there, but we lost sight of what success is supposed to look like and when it's supposed to arrive and what it actually looks like when it does arrive. So I've been selling real estate in San Antonio for over 20 years. And this really cool thing just started happening a couple of years ago where people that I knew when I first moved here and became friends with or clients with or both, their kids are now calling me to invest in their first piece of real estate. And it's just been a really exciting adventure for all of us. I get to watch these kids grow up and become amazing young adults, and then they want to dip their toe into homeownership. And what I love about the San Antonio market is it's still very obtainable for these people. They can buy a property in a great neighborhood that is move-in ready, so they're still very much focused on their careers. Maybe they're DIY YouTuber universities on the side, but maybe they don't want to invest everything into that. I've seen it run the gamut. Some kids are interested, young adults, they're not kids anymore, but some of these folks are really interested in fixing up their homes. Some of them just want to focus on their careers and the next chapter in their lives, whether it's being married or starting a family, and just not really interested in updating their properties, and just taking care of basic maintenance is plenty for them. And what I love about San Antonio is it's obtainable for all those things. So younger people have options. They can definitely afford to be in our market and stay in our market and graduate and grow in our market. And I think that's a big part of what the American dream has to offer. I think with the narrative and the noise around us talking about makes it look like everybody lives in a luxury home. And it's just not true. I think when my parents were of their generation, the goal was to buy a home that was large enough to raise your family in, and that was kind of it. But somewhere between there and now, the goal is to graduate to a bigger, better home every couple of years. And yes, you can do that in our market, but no one's going to get crazy rich off of their houses in San Antonio. And that's okay, because I've been doing this long enough to remember when people were using their houses like ATMs coming in from other markets, and they were flooding our market and making it unobtainable. And the people that lived and grew up here were like, this needs to stop. And if you look at other markets like Asheville, North Carolina, Austin, Texas, and lots of other places like that, they've just squeezed out from everybody else. And where do those people go? They have to go somewhere. Everybody has to live somewhere. And so San Antonio is just steady. We are a steady Eddie kind of place. We have a lot of people circulating in and out, military personnel. It's an excellent place for military to retire. They choose to retire here because they're treated with the respect and dignity that the veterans deserve. They have resources and outlets here like no other cities in the entire United States. And it's affordable. And if you're a 100% disabled vet, you don't pay any property taxes in Texas. And you get a lot of other breaks on a lot of other very expensive fees. So it is a wonderful place to land when you're finished with your time in service here. We have an amazing medical sector. So if you are in any medical field whatsoever, San Antonio is an excellent hub for you. And not just San Antonio, but its surrounding areas as well, like New Braunfels. You can live in a really nice, quiet, sleepy place like Helotes and Bernie and be pretty close to a big med center in San Antonio as well. Spring Branch is just a couple miles north of the Stone Oak Medical Center, which has tons of resources for all medical personnel. So there's a lot happening here: research, development, medical, tourism, military. And so that makes it a really great place for people to constantly move. And one of the things that I like about San Antonio is it doesn't really have pockets where people sort of say, oh, you don't want to live over there. That's not a great place to live. We don't really have that here. There are a lot of other places like where I'm originally from in Chicago where people just don't live there, or there's no pride of ownership there. Heck, there are places in Chicago where I'm from, they don't even have basic services anymore because nobody's living there anymore to pay the property taxes to keep police and fire employed. And so we don't have issues like that here. Every little pocket has an HEB, which if you don't know, HEB is a religion. Y'all need to get on board. Every little pocket has a Walmart or a Target or some restaurants. Like there's parks, there's playgrounds, there's good schools. There's something in every little section of San Antonio. So if your budget's 200,000, like, yes, that's hard to find, but you can find a quaint home for 200,000. And could you live there for a little while and then maybe it'd be worth 250? I think so. And then could you maybe graduate to a $300,000 home? Yes, I think so. So these things are available. Is there beautiful luxury in San Antonio? Yes, I think so. There's amazing luxury opportunities. And they're not crazy expensive. The $1 to $3 million house here in San Antonio would be $10 to $12 to $15 million anywhere else. I mean, and you can get stunning views, beautiful floor plans, sparkling pools that you can actually use all year round. Like, this is a fantastic place to live. Infrastructure is always being developed, which does cause some growing pains. I won't pretend that it doesn't. But it does give us the ability to move freely around our city. And unlike certain cities, like some very close by up the 35 corridor, where you're just gridlock all the time, we don't really have those kinds of issues here. And so if you're experiencing a lot of traffic where you live, just hang tight. They're gonna fix it. It's gonna be okay. And you'll be able to move about freely. The stability in our changing housing market. So there's been a lot of people asking about San Antonio and how the market's doing, and we are seeing a little bit of adjustment from the last couple of years, but the last couple of years was kind of this weird hodgepodge of people sort of sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what was going to happen next. And so now it feels like 2026 is really taking off with a very steady acceleration. I think that we'll see prices come up anywhere from 1 to 1.5%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but you got to live somewhere, and it's not too bad. And it's certainly better than a negative. So I do think that because of the interest rate handcuffs that a lot of us were stuck in with the COVID and pre-COVID interest rates, it makes it difficult for them to want to move. And so you really have to decide if taking action and moving into a 5 3/4 or a 6% interest rate is the right move for you. But it's still very obtainable. There are wonderful pockets just around San Antonio. We are featuring some of them in some of the coverage that we're creating. New Braunfels, Bernie, Helotes. We're going to look at some content of Old Town San Antonio, South Town, and some of the more walkable areas with the craftsman style homes. Lots of fun things to do out there. So stay tuned or check out some of our additional videos for that. So someone recently asked me what kind of advice I would give to somebody in their 20s. And if you're in your 20s, you probably don't want any more unsolicited advice, but because I'm going to answer that question, I'm going to give it to you anyway. I would say save your shekels. Save as many dollars as you possibly can, because you never know when winter is coming, and when winter is coming, you want to be prepared for it. However, don't be afraid to live your life. Don't assume that the negative narrative out there is for everybody. It's not. It can't be. There has to be winners. And if you want to set yourself up for success, design your life the way you want it to play out. You're going to have circumstances that are going to kick you in the face sometimes, but that's either something that happened for you or something that happened to you, and that is your choice to decide when that happens. And so I would encourage you to look for avenues to scale and add rings onto your ladder so that you can continue to grow as a person. And maybe that is something different for you. Maybe you love the idea of being free-spirited, traveling, working remotely. Okay, you can do that. And you can maybe also still build an asset with a rental property. Maybe you start out living somewhere for a little while, and then you move out of that property and you let somebody take over the payment, and that's your rent. We have wonderful property management firms that we can refer in this area to make that reality, make that dream a reality for you. If you are thinking, I'm newly graduated from college, or I'm on a gap year and I'm not sure if I want, what I want to do next, I would take a look around and ask myself, what do I think the world is going to look like in 20 years? Do you think it's going to be full of people that code for a living? Probably not. All of these other avenues that people spend thousands and thousands of dollars on and sometimes go into debt for degrees that may or may not have any leverage. I don't know that that's the best use of your time and money. Would it make more sense for you to get into rooms with people that are more seasoned and successful in an avenue of career that you're interested in and basically offer to be friends with them? What can you do for them? How can you help them? And how can you learn from them? I think so. I think there's also a lot of negativity out there, but never has there ever been more opportunity for people to create an environment for themselves just from using a camera in a room and getting their information out to the rest of the world. So, do you have something to offer? I'm sure you do, because everybody does. And so, find a way to plug into those outlets. Don't just sit on the sidelines and do nothing. We're taught from our parents to go to school and then graduate and get a good job. And the dream just doesn't really feel like it aligns with the realities that we're living in right now. So if that's the case and that's the way you feel, question it and find something that you love and dig into it. And no one, very few people, I will say, are doing now what they thought they were originally going to do in the beginning of their life. So if it changes for you, that's a good thing. Don't get discouraged. Just keep showing up and doing what you're doing. No one quits, right? You don't quit at life. You don't quit at business. If you quit at business, you don't have a business. So if you just keep going, if you just keep showing up, it'll happen. It's going to be great. Yes. So recently we were in Helotes. It made me think of this amazing time that I had kind of forgotten about, but now I can't stop thinking about it. So back in the 1900s, I was stationed here at Lackland Air Force Base for basic training, and which is where all of the Air Force comes for their enlisted basic training program. Unlike the Army where they put you in different camps, but they put you over here for that. And so my stint was over the holidays, and they have this really cool program here, and you can adopt an airman for Thanksgiving. And so if you don't know, when you're in basic training, they own you. You don't see anybody, you don't do anything, you don't talk to anybody, you just do whatever you're told for 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it is. And so if you happen to enlist over the holidays, it's a really nice time because these amazing families in San Antonio will come and adopt an airman or two for Thanksgiving Day. And we had this beautiful family that adopted me and another airman. And they picked us up on base, and they brought us to their home. They fed us an amazing meal. They drove us all around, and we just had a beautiful day. They had this drop top, like 1960 something convertible car, all made out of steel. It was felt like I was in a movie or something. Also, I had no concept that you could drive around in a convertible in the middle of November in any universe at all, being from Chicago. So I thought that was just worth the price of admission right there in itself. So we had a lot of fun doing that, and it was just wonderful. And, because this was the 1900s, we would exchange letters here and there. And eventually, when I came back to San Antonio and moved here full time, I reached out to them and just to thank them so much for making an impact on me in a time that, really felt pretty lonely. So it was great. And she shared with me that was Helotes. And Helotes is just such a beautiful town with beautiful people. It is just flanked right on the edge of San Antonio. It's the gateway to the hill country. It's got nice watersheds, super fun stuff to do all the time, beautiful properties, very approachable price point. Homes go on the low end from the 350 range, and they can go over $1 million. But usually their sweet spot is somewhere between 4 and 800,000 over there. And they're also known for Carnival, which is one part rodeo, one part carnival. And it's coming up starting on April 30th. It runs through May 3rd, and it's just tons of fun. There'll be rides, rodeos, bull riding, mutton busting. I mean, it's just amazing. They'll have prizes, giveaways. HEB will be there participating. They're one of the sponsors. They'll have a fun rodeo clown night, nightly themes. So on Thursday, they have St. Jude's night. So wear purple to support St. Jude's Children's Hospital. On Friday night, you celebrate with Bud Light. You can, I won't. Not Bud Light. And Saturday is military night, so show your patriotism, wear red, white, and blue. And it'll be tons of fun. Dancing, it's gonna be great. So check it out. And that starts on April 30th and runs through May 3rd. Bud Light tastes like trash. If you want to have a conversation about what real estate could look like for you in San Antonio, reach out below. We would love to hear from you. We also appreciate any comments and feedback you have for future podcasts and other information you might like to hear about.